Hello, good Woch, good Chodesh to everyone. We'll learn Sichos Haran and Sipurey Tzadikim, and we're adding each time a little bit here, a little bit there. And with this, without Hashem, we will start the week on the right foot, with the bracha, the atzlacha, with the schus of all the Gewaldige Tzadikim when we mention Bezat Hashem. Of course, we start Bezat Hashem with the Baal Shem HaKadosh, and this is what the Baal Shem HaKadosh said. He says, last week we said how precious every single Jew is by Kodesh Baruch Hu. Baal Shem HaKadosh said as follows: even the Malach Michal is the greatest archangel of all the angels, would give all his avodah and all his asogos ve'elakus, all the saga that he has in Hashem Baruch, which is greater than all the malachim, even for a mitzvah of one tzitzis of the four that each Jew has. In other words, you have four tzitzis, l'chura. What is one tzitzis worth? I mean, if you don't have all four, the tzitzis, of course, is not kosher. I mean, you can't walk around. It's like you're walking without tzitzis at all. But on one hand, it shows you that you need all four of them. But it also shows you that if you're missing one, the rest of the three aren't worth anything. Which means each one of them has a tremendous value, which we absolutely have no hasaga in. And therefore, and this is in that greatness of a single tzitzis out of the four, Malach Michal, the archangel Michal, would give everything, all his avodah, all his asar Kodesh Baruch Hu, for the schos of one of the four tzitzis that every single yid wears. Now, people don't feel tremendous vitality and excitement for the mitzvah of tzitzis or even film, because it's an everyday thing and they don't even pay attention to it. And besides, everybody does it. So if they are into Avodas Hashem, so by them, what is considered to be a big thing, and to wake up Chatzois, they daven vasikin, they make his boyados, or they sit in tinus. These things that are unusual that only very special people do. But the truth is exactly the opposite. The mitzvah that many people do has much more power than a mitzvah that few people do. So the fact that you are wearing tzitzis and everybody else is wearing tzitzis makes the fact that makes the tzitzis that you are wearing worth that much more. This is b'chlal one of the important lessons that a person needs to learn about life, that feelings are not facts. A person can feel very down, very worthless, very fearful. That doesn't mean that he's worthless or that he's no good or he's in danger. I mean, when a person feels in danger, that's one thing, but people can go around and the feeling, they go back and forth. I mean, people tend to mix up feelings with facts. If I don't feel good, that means the situation is not good. That is not true. Feelings are important, but they're not facts, especially when it has to do with mitzvahs. The fact that I don't have feeling and the greatness of mitzvah tzitzis doesn't mean the mitzvah tzitzis doesn't have importance. Other as the Baal Shemtov said, one of the four tzitzis is so great, the Malchus will give everything he has for it. There's another saying from Baal Shemtov, V'digloi alai ahava. And this is Shir Hashirim, and the flag of Kodesh Baruch Hu upon me is love. So it's a very famous Chazal, Al tigav v'digloi ela v'liglugoi alai ahava. Don't read v'digloi, don't read it as his flag on me. The thing that I'm most noted for is this is a degel, this is a flag. Ligluga means derision. Means it is so. This is a famous Chazal. What does it mean? Why would Chazal take digloi? And the thing that the Kodesh Baruch Hu, the flag Kodesh Baruch Hu holds me and holds importance over me is love. Why would Chazal take it and change it from digloi? He says liglugoi, and like a joke, like a derision. So Baal Shem Tov explained, it's moshel to a baby that his father loves him very much, and he asks for something from his father, even though he stutters and he doesn't say it properly. His father gets a great enjoyment from that. When a person turns over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and his words are not said properly, HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves him. And he doesn't, it's not medactic of him, you're saying it properly, you're not saying it properly, My wife told me that my youngest granddaughter says she wants Subway. And I think, Subway? What do you mean Subway? And strawberry. That's what she's 2 years old. And strawberry, she says Subway. And her mother enjoys it, grandmother enjoys it, her grandfather enjoys it, even though she said it, and it's a joke, but it's the amount of love that we love her, the toddler, we get the great enjoyment of the funny way that she's saying it. Same way HaKadosh Baruch Hu with every Jew. Now you come to him, you talk to him, you say, you manage to say, you don't manage to say it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves you so much that he gets this immense enjoyment from you. Even when it doesn't come out the way it should. It says in Tishkevun ben Sfatayim, a pasuk says HaKadosh Baruch Hu is intently watching the lips of a person, of a Jew, to kiss the lips of every Jew when he says Torah and Tefillah. When you say Torah and Tefillah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is kissing you. Because a person is bringing about through his Torah and Tefillah a bounty and plenty to all the Olamis. And even the angels are all feeding off his Torah and his Tefillah. And if a person would only know this, he would be serving Kodesh Baruch Hu with such simcha, such awe, and such love, as you can imagine. And he said a person needs to believe in full emunah, that when a person even moves as much as a little finger he's actually moving all the upper worlds. Shemtov said, a person understands that every person includes in him all the upper worlds. You're not just a single person. You include in you the entire world. Allah says, Allah in Yom Tov, it says it's supposed to eat meat. And Simcha Ela Bebasar, Hashem Tov said, Amachazal, and Simcha Ela Bebasar, there's no Simcha above in the upper world, except from the avodah of a person who is flesh and blood in this world. And Simcha in the upper world, Ela Bebasar, person is Basar Adam, is flesh and blood in this world. Atkan, Baal Shem HaKodesh, Chusot Agen Aleinu, at Hashem, his chus will have a tremendous week and a tremendous month, at Hashem, the month of Iyar. Okay, and here we go for the next Mesa. This is a message that that come from originally from Sefer Shah Yerushalayim, that can no longer be found, and all his dvarim is dvarim amitim ve'korim me'od. He says a ma'aser that in yesteryears, before the morning, the pasha, the ruler, the Muslim ruler was in Jerusalem, and he visited the tombs of the Malchus Beis David. And at that time, the opening to the cave where the tombs of Malchus Beis David were still open, and there was a window there that looked into the cave inside. And when the Pasha looked on the window, his lance fell into the cave. Now, his lance was very expensive. It was very precious to him. All kinds of gems on it. Immediately, he gave an order to lift up the lance. So they brought down a Muslim man with ropes from the bottom of the cave. And after a few moments, they lifted him up, and he was dead. They took a second one. They took him up. He was also dead, like the first one. Same thing with the third. Same thing with the fourth. So the Pasha became very angry. And he said, that lance is so important to me. I don't care if all the inhabitants of Yerushalayim will die, as long as I get it back. So the Qadi, the Pasha was, like the big governor. The Qadi is the chief clergyman for the Muslims. He said to the Pasha, there's no reason for you, to kill, many people of the inhabitants of Yerushalayim for nothing. My advice is as follows: send one of your servants to the Chacham Bashi. This is the main, the Jewish leader, the rabbi, the chief rabbi, and order him to send you one of the Jews to retrieve your lance. And if he refuses, tell him that you are going to, to expel all the Jews from Jerusalem. My opinion is that he will immediately send you one Jew, and he will bring you your lance back. because the Jews, are David the Melech, as they have a bring chain the day of David the Melech to fill whatever they want. Okay. The Pasha found it good, and he sent to the chief rabbi in Jerusalem and ordered him to send him a Jew to retrieve his lands from the cave of the caves of Malchus Bes David. I'm not sure if they're talking about the cave of David, or they're talking about what happened in Ir David, where the graves of the other Melachim after him. I'm not sure. Well, the Rav became very scared, for the kedusha of the place. Who can step there? But he was very afraid if he's not going to be Mekayim, the order of the Pasha, the Chas v'Chalila can be a Gzeira on the Jews. So he beseeched the minister to give him 3 days to prepare, and they granted it to him. The Rav gathered all the Edo and told them they have to fast for 3 days. And every single day, he went with many people to carry Rachel Aminu to daven there. He davened to ask him, on the 4th day, the Rav said to the people, to his congregation, listen, one of us has to be Moshe Nefesh for the cloud to go down to the cave to retrieve the lands. When the Rav saw that nobody is actually volunteering, he said he has to make a girl, and whoever the girl will follow will have to go and bring the lands. And he did it, and it fell all the shamash, the sexton of the shul. As a man, big Yeshemai, very tmimistic. And he accepted upon himself, be'ahavo, prepared himself to have a mikveh 3 times, said goodbye to his family, everything, and everybody in the congregation. Everybody was crying. And he went to Har Tzia, to the place of the graves of Malchus Bes David with a lot of Jews. And there, the Pasha already waiting there with his people. And immediately they took the sexton, the shamash, and they lowered him down through this window. And after a short time, they heard a voice saying, lift me up. And they pulled the strings, the ropes, until it brought up. And he saw that he's alive, and he's holding the lance in his hand. And he gave the lance to the Pasha, who was standing there, and just really rattled by this awesome sight. And it was a big, big Kiddush Hashem. And the Jewish congregation was extremely happy with the Yeshua that the Kodesh Baruch Hu did to them. And from that time on, they were very respected by the Pasha and the other ministers. And then the Shamash actually told the Rav that after they brought him downstairs, and he stood there for a few minutes. He didn't know, what's going to happen with him. Suddenly, an old man came to him. He doesn't know who this old man was, and gave him the lance. Then he screamed, bring me up. And Baruch Hashem was successful, and that Shamash got many gifts from the ministers for that particular deed that he did. Hashem. Ay. And now in Haran. All right. Next, a little bit about the Rebbe Elimlelech, also about the other tzaddikim during his time. It is said that, I'm not sure who this is about, and it says his face of this particular tzaddik was always shining, and with tremendous simcha from the learning and the tefillah and the tefillin. And when he has managed, Baruch Hashem, to cleanse himself greatly, he started conducting himself with great wealth. So the Yetzer Hara will not start up with him, because the dvekus and the chayos and the kus in the heart, from the tefillah and the tefillin, with a happy heart, is mamish life for the kedusha, and death is sitra achra. So the sitra achra should not, prosecute him and chas v'chalila to drop him down. So sometimes he says you have to widen your mind, archoves hadas, behave as if with great wealth in yon olam hazeh. So that's will not will not go over him. I'm not sure who he's actually talking about, but I know there were actually tzaddikim, Mordechai Chernobyl was like that, and a few others. And this was the minhag of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rabbi Chil Mechel from Zlotshov. There was a Talmid about Shem HaKadosh, or unbelievable tzaddikim, that his malbushim, his garments, was mamash malbush of malchus, and when they prepare his suda every single day, was like a suda of a king. So Michael Mechel of Zlotshov, was wearing big malchus, and ate. He put a suda that was fit for a king, and he wouldn't partake of it except just by looking at it. That's all he would do. Didn't enjoy it at all. He wouldn't eat it. But the Suda was a fair fit for a king. And so on him, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Moreinu Rabbeinu Harav Rebbe Elimlelech, said on him, Rabbi Chil Mechel Zlotshov, that when he is wearing his kapata, his overcoat, to stand to daven, and he's putting together the snaps, he says that in the Shamayim, there's tremendous plenty that feeds 80,000 units of malachim, and he is their chayos, he is their life force, and he needs great shmirah. People have to watch him and guard him at all time, that chas v'chalila his soul not leave his body from the greatness of the light of dvekus that he would defer, that he was Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's known. They said that Rebbe Elimlelech, when he would say Kedusha's Keser, he would hold his pocket watch in his hand. And he explained that the reason why he does that is because he has to touch something physical. So, because during Kedusha's Keser, there's a big sakana that his soul simply leave his body. He's in such dvekus, he's so connected to the Shechina that the connection to the body is very tenuous. So he has to hold on to something gashmisdik. There's a story about Reb Shel Mechel Zlotshov and the Baal Shem HaKadosh. And by the way, to tell you something amazing story about the father of Reb Shel Mechel Zlotshov, that his wife gave birth to a son, and his father took a look at him and said, "That's not good enough," and the child passed away. Then there was another one that got birth, and he said, "He's not up to snuff," and he also passed away. And I don't know if Shel Mechel Zlotshov was the third or the fourth, but he was born. His mother said to his father, "That's it, no more. You're not sending, you're not taking any more of my children from this world." So he said, "Okay, let him stay." and he said, I already sent away better ones than this one. And that one that stayed, that there were better ones that were sent away, was a Chil Mechel of Zlotsov. Chil Mechel Zlotsov. Susat again Aleinu. And at one time, a Jew came to him. He had some kind of there was an affair, and he gave him a tikkun. And the tikkun was very difficult. It was very difficult. So he came to Baal Shemtov, and Baal Shemtov told him, that's not right. And when Zlotsov traveled, it was Friday. It was getting close to Shabbos. It was mamash a sakona to a Chilul Shabbos, and the horses were running, and he didn't know, what's going to be, if it's going to be. And for these tzaddikim, Rabbeinu said, it happened one to Rabbeinu, and he said, Rabbeinu understood. He said, then I understood when he was running to get to town before Shabbos. He understood the fear of the neshama of the Rishoyim when they're taken to Gehenna. This was the fear of these tzaddikim from Chas and Chalila from Chil Shabbos. So Chil Mechel Zlotsov, that was his situation. This was his thing, and he was running into town, and to himself, Baruch Hashem, he got to town before Shabbos, and he was scared out of his wits. And he came to Baal Shem, Hashem told him, this is because you gave such a harsh tikkun to this Jew. What do you want from him? And Baal Shem Tov told this Jew, just give a few pennies, for candles for the shul. That's your tikkun. The rest the tzaddik does. It's Schusam Tagen Aleinu. So here we go with the biography of Rabbeinu Arizl. We are in Tzfas. Last week we spoke, we're speaking about the various Chachamim and Tzaddikim that lived during Arizl's time in Tzfas. And last week we spoke about, Rabbi Yosef Karo, the Baal Shulchan Aruch, Schusat again Aleinu and his greatness. And now today we're talking about one of his Talmidim. One of the famous Talmidim was Rabbi Moshe Alshich, that known Klal Yisrael, Alshich HaKadosh. There are two Achronim that are known, that are called HaKadosh, the Holy One, Saintly One. And as part of their name, one of them is Alshich HaKadosh, Moshe Alshich. And one of them is, the other one is the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. These are the two that are known as the Kodesh, the Holy One. Moshe Alshich, was ordained for Rabbanus by Rabbi Yosef Karo. He was a descendant of the people who were expelled from Spain. And a lot of Talmidim in Tzfas, including Rabbi Chaim Vital was his student. Chaim Vital was his student in Benigla. And Benister, he, of course, Arizl was his rabbi, and Arizl, liked and appreciated Rabbi Moshe Alshich HaKadosh. He says that his drashas ala midah shel Torah, and he would go to listen to his drashas. So now they say one story, but I know another one. It says one Arizal went in I'll tell you first of all the one that I know, that the Alshich HaKadosh said that that Lavan Arami, he had many, I don't think he said 10 different kavanas of what it is that he wanted to do in order to trick Yaakov Avinu. And he mentioned 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I don't know if it was 5 or 10, I'm not sure. And the last one, Arizl was there. And the last one, he saw Arizl go like this. So after the drasha, he asked him, he said, why did he go like this? He says, because when you were saying the drasha, Lava and Aroim were standing next to you. And every single kavanah that you said about him, he nodded with his head. That's true. I had that in mind. And the second one, I had that in mind too. You go all the way to the 10th one. 10th one, he says, no, I didn't have that in mind. So I said, no, that's not the right one. But anyhow, I said, there was another time the Arizl was in this medrash, and suddenly in the middle of the drasha, Arizl gets up and leaves the medrash. So when he was asked about, this is very strange, Arizl says, listen, I'm going to the drasha. You know why I'm going to the drasha of the Al-Shech HaKodesh? Because the entire Pamale Shel Mala, they're all going down to hear the drasha of the Al-Shech HaKodesh. Once I saw that the leader is measured in the middle, because he said the most unbelievable pirush, but he himself, didn't hold this pirush, was who knows what, because he didn't appreciate the greatness of his own pirush because of his anova, because of his humbleness. And when I saw Hashem go out, I also went out. And the Al-Shech HaKodesh was the rabbi of Tzfas after the B'S Yosef. There's a lot of responses that he wrote in a sefer, but the manuscript was lost. And he was very famous of his drushes, Al-Shech HaKodesh, and tremendous perushim and nifloim and Tanakh and so forth. And after the so there's one perush that Chiddush of the Al-Shech HaKodesh that we will say here. You can see the tremendous emes that shines in the perushim of the Al-Shech HaKodesh. He says on Megillas Esther, and he says that Achashverosh gave Esther and Mordechai after, Haman was hanged. He gave his ring, his signet ring, to Esther and Mordechai, and he said, and you, Kisva Yehudim, write on the Jews, Katov Beinechem, the way that you see fit. Kidover, because something, Asher Nechtov, that was written, the Nechtam was sealed, Betabas HaMelech, in the signet ring over the king, and Lahashav cannot be rescinded. So the Al-Shech HaKodesh says that this is a huge caution, because Achashverosh supposedly is praising the power that he is giving Esther and Mordechai. You can write on the Yehudim whatever you want. You know why? Because anything that you write and you sign with my signet ring cannot be rescinded. But that raises a tremendous problem, because the first ksav, the first decree, that says that all the Yidden Chas Chalila should be destroyed, was also signed and sealed with the signet ring of the king. So what are you going to know about that? So the Al-Shech HaKodesh says as follows. It says, what was written in the first decree? It says, La'abed, to finish off, La'ashmid, to destroy, La'abed, La'arog, to kill, La'abed is Kol Yehudim, all the Jews. That was written in the first decree. Says the Al-Shech HaKodesh, this is what was actually told to them. You can, who says, says, La'abed, La'ashmid, V'la'arog is Kol Yehudim, to get rid of and to destroy and to kill all the Jews. So he says, who says that the Jews are supposed to be the ones being killed? Who says? Maybe what the comma should be moved, and she said la'abed v'lashmin diskol, to kill and to annihilate and to finish off everyone. Who's supposed to do it? The Yehudim. They are the ones who are supposed to kill. In other words, so he says, Vatem, you should write on the Yehudim, on this word Yehudim. Who are they? Are the one being killed or the one doing the killing? Katov Einechem. Because the actual first decree cannot be taken off. But what you can do is you can give a different meaning. I think it's Ala Yehudim, on the word Yehudim, Katov Einechem is Yifet, because the first decree cannot be rescinded. Yeah, such a chiddush, it is fit to get up and dance from the lichtigkeit of the emes of these chidushim. Let's take a look on Sichos Haran for this week, Bezrat Hashem. And hold on just a second. Here we go. This is okay. When Rabbeinu HaKodesh is 177, 176 is basically the same. It was copied here twice. Rabbeinu HaKodesh was mechazik someone to be besimcha. And he says, it is fit for you to rejoice in Hashem Yisbarach, even though you have absolutely no clue of the greatness of Hashem Yisbarach. Even though you don't have a clue, you should rely on me, because I know of the greatness of Hashem Yisbarach. And then he said the pasuk, Ki ani yadati godel Hashem, for I knew the greatness of Kadosh Baruch Hu. And also, it's fit for you to rejoice in me, that you are actually zoicher, that you should have a Rebbe like this, a Rebbe like me. As mechazik somebody, he says, be mechazik yourself, even iskechol. You made a good deal. You did something else, even something has to do with divrei chol. Make yourself happy. He says, bevadai, it is for. He says, first of all, make yourself happy. B'mila de alma, make yourself help me. Even with divrei chol, whatever it is you can, and then you can come to a simcha amitis. This is how you can come afterwards to a true simcha. We have to understand, simcha, joy, is not a result of a situation. Joy is a choice. There are certain situations in which it is easier to be with simcha. They are more auspicious to simcha. Certain situations it's more difficult to be with simcha. But joy is a choice. And we know of tremendous tzaddikim. The Heilige Chassam Sofer told about his rabbi, Reb Nosson Adler, the Kodesh Elyon, Zecher Tzaddik Kodesh L'Bracha, and he had a single daughter that was the apple of his eye. And Lo Aleinu, she passed away. And he said, the Chassam Sofer said, and I looked in the eyes of my rabbi, and I saw in his eyes the same joy that he had after Lo Aleinu, his daughter passed away, that he had when he kisses Sefer Torah during Simchas Torah. Because joy is a choice. Now, by the tzaddikim, okay, so they can do it. The question is, what's it got to do with me? How do I deal with it? So this is what Rabbeinu is teaching us. Rabbeinu says, it is difficult to be b'simcha, but it's a prerequisite. You have to work on it. You have to use any trick in the book you can in order to make yourself b'simcha. In another place here, he says, be b'simcha because I know you got something nice in the house, for the house, or whatever it is. Be b'simcha from that. Again, b'simcha, and put yourself in a mind of joy. And then, from there you can go into simcha, in a real simcha, simcha sheberuchnis. Rabbeinu says that nowadays, the world, his time, that's 250 years ago. He says, in our days, he said, it is not possible to be besimcha without mirsa d'shtusa, without doing funny business, being silly. He says you can't be besimcha without it. So you can do with that. You can start with that. There's a chicken and then there's a duck. You know what the English call a duck? They call it chicken with lips. Anyhow, so B'ezrat Hashem, we will all have a tremendous week, a tremendous Chodesh. And here we have my son of Rami. Tomorrow is going with Hashem to Hungary because at night is going to be the yahrzeit of Reb Shaila Kerestiers, and maybe people would like to give you their names. So you can daven for them. So you guys, whoever wants, maybe you can write it down, and you can unmute yourself and give the names. Give the name. Hashem Rami will write, and he will daven for you.
So I'd rather send it to you by WhatsApp or by email, and you forward it to me.
To send it to me, whoever doesn't, and maybe somebody doesn't have WhatsApp, whatever.
WhatsApp or email?
They will, they won't.
Or send a voice note or whatever. Or write it down. I won't have to wait to write it down. That's all.
Avanti.
I have to get off now. I'm rushing. Okay. I get the ball.
Get the Woche, be Matzliach. Call to the Chodesh.